Welcome back. Now, large parts of Johannesburg, particularly in the northern and western suburbs, are currently grappling with a severe waste crisis that has left refuse uncollected for up to 3 weeks. The situation has escalated into a public health concern, with rotting waste lining suburban streets and attracting vermin during the peak of the summer heat. The primary driver of the disruption is unprotected industrial action by casual workers at Pikitup, the city's waste management entity. Now, Pikitup spokesperson Anthony Selepe joins us in studio to tell us more about this. Mr. Selepe, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Good evening, Masa, and good evening to your viewers.
3 weeks of uncollected waste. How do we get here?
Let me first start by expressing and extending our apology to the residents of Midrand, Randburg, and Marlborough, where this happened. It is occasioned by the casual workers who are employed by our contractors, who would want to enforce their way into getting employed by Pikitup. And we engaged with them to the point where they agreed that they will follow the processes, and as a result, the protests are over.
So, but what took 3 weeks? Was this the negotiation that took 3 weeks?
Yes, we were engaging with them. In some instances, they will agree. Of the 12, maybe let me say, of the 12 depots we have, only 3 had been adversely affected by the protest. And Randburg particularly, Midrand and Marlborough were the 3 that had been affected by this. And luckily, the protests are over now.
But I still want to understand what took 3 weeks, and in those 3 weeks, could you not have made a contingency plan for those 3 depots?
We could have made contingency plans, but unfortunately those protesters were blocking the gates, and we couldn't get the trucks going out to collect.
So you're saying that they were protesting because they don't want to be employed by a contractor, they'd like to be employed directly, so basically to be insourced?
Yes.
Is that what's going to happen moving forward?
That's not what is going to happen moving forward, because there is an internal recruitment process, which they also were subjected to. And those who had applied amongst them would, if successful, be employed by Pikitup. But those who had not been successful because of maybe the audit, vetting, and the other limitations they might have against the recruitment process, they will not be employed.
So who's to say that this protest won't happen again if, they aren't going to be insourced, so the problem remains?
The problem would not remain because those who would have applied, including them, when the process comes to an end, they will be employed. And the process is expedited from the 6th of next week, which is February. And after those advertisements, there will be expedited the expedition of the process to 8 weeks maximum.
Which will, in this 8 weeks, would it insource all of them who've applied, or would it leave some out?
It will insource everyone who had applied beyond and above the striking and protesting employees of the truck drivers, of the truck owners.
Now, as Pikitup, are you also going on perhaps an overdrive of sorts to make sure that the 3 weeks that went without having any waste collected, that you're ramping up your services, particularly in those areas that have been harshly affected?
Indeed, Masa. We are ramping up. We've got a recovery plan which is massively going to respond to the backlog of over 3 weeks, as you say. And we are confident that at least in the next 3 or 4 days, would be back to schedule. All the backlog could have been dealt with.
Has there been, could this have been avoided, Mr. Selepe? Just from experience covering protests, I've also covered Pikitup protests in the past as well. They don't happen overnight. It's usually because discussions have gone awry and then workers feel that they have no other option but to down tools and take on such action. Could this have been avoided? Did they try and come and speak to you before protesting?
The discussions started with them protesting. That's when we engage them throughout. Mind you, it's not our employees. So they put our employees at ransom, basically, because they close the gate and our employees cannot carry their work out. So it's a matter of including criminal activities, because it's not allowed in law.
And just in closing, for those residents who didn't perhaps hear you in the beginning talking about that this protest action, you're saying, is officially done and services have been resumed.
The services had been resumed from all the entities, including these 3 which had been on strike from yesterday. And they will be unrolling a massive recovery plan to put the situation back to schedule.
Mr. Selepe, thank you so much for coming into studio and giving us this update. Really appreciate it.